So then on April 25th, that was the last mission that the 8th Air Force flew in World War II. And it was also the longest, farthest in. It was all the way to Pilsen, Czechoslovakia, to the Skoda plant. And our bombardier, Bill Stark, was leading the whole 8th Air Force.
Wow.
And he's up in Oregon now, and I gotta send him some pictures of the memorial. Anyway, he and I and the waist gunner are alive yet from our crew. And so we could see up ahead, and we were kind of ticked off because Eisenhower had called Europe and told the workers at the Skoda plant, don't go to work because the 8th Air Force is going to bomb you in strength today. Well, they had 18, 19 hours to bring in guns from as far away as they could bring them in.
Oh, gee.
And we could see the flak burst up ahead that we're going to have to fly through. And we get up there to the target, and it was cloudy, and Gustafson's crew was on our left wing, and we made the pass over the target and didn't drop our bombs, and Gustafson's crew got shot down, and we could see them going down. And we found out later that those that were alive when they got down, they got machine gunned by the Germans. They were all killed. And we had to make a big 360-degree turn and then go through it again because of the cloud cover. And that's when we got hit. So we had dropped our bombs, opened and closed the bomb bay, and during that run, the pilot had come back to the radio room to have a nature call, and he left his parachute back there. So I called him on the intercom, and he turned around and looked, and I whistled at him and held up his parachute, and he got a smile on his face, and we met in the middle of the bomb bay, and I gave him his parachute. And then pretty soon we heard this boom out on the wing, and there's a explosion in the wing, and the fire out there where you could throw a bathtub in that hole.
Oh, geez.
Fire coming out, and then the ball turret gunner, I think a little bit later the pilot gave the word to bail out. And a couple seconds later, the ball turret gunner is in the worst position on the plane. They have big buckles, and they have a backpack for a parachute, and those buckles cut into their legs, and they didn't buckle. So we had to get the waist gunner, and I were helping getting the ball turret gunner out of his ball, and we got him out of there. And then we had to buckle his leg straps, and I had one buckled, and I was working on the other one, and I look around, and it's just me helping him. The other waist gunner, he had jumped it, I guess. And so anyway, then it fell over kind of in a flat spin. It was on fire, and I figured it was going to just go all the way in and explode, and that was it. But there was an explosion. I knew I was going out through the air.
So you got blown out of the plane?
I was falling. I was blown out.
Jeez.
But when I woke up, then I saw my parachute and the red handle, and I figured, man, I'm not in heaven yet. And I pulled the ripcord, and I had fallen about 20,000 feet unconscious. And I was about 2,000 feet maybe when I woke up.
You think you just got low enough where you got oxygen again? Is that what woke you up, or how do you?
I think the angel of the Lord woke me up, and that's all I'm here by the grace of God. And then I could see the trees down there. I was about 2,000 feet. And this was ripped open. I could see that. I could see the bone and stuff in there. So I just kind of covered my eyes and face and crossed my feet and started bouncing through the trees. And then the chute hung up in the trees. And I knew we were only about 8 minutes away from the target, so it had to be in enemy territory. So I unbuckled and I tried to hang on to my parachute harness to pull the parachute out, and I wanted to bury it. It wouldn't come. So I dropped down. My feet were probably 8 or 10 feet from the ground. I was stocking footed. I was blowing out of my boots.
Wow.
And so the chute wouldn't come, so I moved away. I was in a forest, not real thick, but it was an older forest, bigger trees, and it had rained the night before. It was quiet in the forest. So I got 40 or 50 yards maybe from my chute. I had an escape kit with a map and a little compass. I had my watch. And I was looking at the map, and I saw my hand. I figured, well, I better put a tourniquet on there and bandage. So they had some sulfa powder and stuff in that. Dumped that in and put a little bandage over it, and I was looking at the map, and I hear voices under my chute. I look over there, and there's 8 Germans with rifles. Figured, Norm, you're going to get it now. Just like the good Lord had something better for them to do and look for me. Off they went. And then I waited till about 6 o'clock. It was just starting to get dark. And at moonlight, I walked all night.
Without any boots, in stocking feet.
Right. And then I thought I heard a Jeep shifting gears, and I figured, well, boy, I better make sure it is a Jeep. So I got in a position, and it was a Jeep. A Jeep had stopped, and both of the doors opened on the Jeep, and 2 guys got out, and one, when he turned a little bit, I could see the sun shine on his bars. He was a captain, and there was a sergeant driving. And I whistled and put up my hands, and they said, where the hell did you come from? So I told them I got shot down yesterday. They said, well, don't get in the Jeep. They said, we're making contact with the enemy, and we'll be back within an hour, maybe a little longer. We'll take you to first aid, and you'll be taken care of. So they come back in about an hour, and they took me to this little town of Marienbad, Germany, and there was an apothecary shop in an old brick building, and they had turned that into like a first aid station. And they gave me first aid there. And that's when the tail gunner came. He was in that town too, and they had found him. He put his head on my chest and, hey, Mark, you gonna be okay? I said, yep. I never saw him again. So they said, well, when we get an ambulance full, we're gonna take you to a field hospital.